started. I'm
All
Jesse
right.
Smith.
Hey, so good
Hey,
to meet you.
it's
I've
good to
I've
meet
only
you.
seen you on like TV, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm a lot taller on TV.
Really?
Your
No.
name is Eliza Ivanova, right? Did I
Yes,
pronounce it right?
you pronounce it perfectly.
So you're from Bulgaria. So when did you
Yeah.
move to America?
That was after high school. I graduated
Okay.
high school when I was 17, and it was kind of a weird decision to go into film because I wasn't planning on doing that. I
Yeah.
was getting ready to go to the Bulgarian National Academy of Art, which is like super prestige and kind of old school. Like if you think Russian academic drawing, that's what usually is. But I dropped the ball my junior year that I want to do film. Animation seemed kind of like the middle ground between drawing and film. So I started researching and ended up going to Cal Arts, which is in LA. Why did I blank out on that? And yeah, I just applied. They liked my stuff and ended up going there. So that was my first journey to the US.
You went to college to study animation because you wanted to
Yeah.
be involved in motion pictures or cinema and illustration at the same time, right?
Yes. Well, I put that on kind of on the side a little
Okay.
bit. And I was like, okay, let me focus on hand drawn 2D animation, which is what I loved. And I did that for 4 years. Then my junior year of college, um, I made a film that kind of got a little buzz around it. It's in the school, I mean, and Pixar saw it. I think at job fair. We have this thing called job fair,
Yeah.
so they offered me an internship.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've been there since, which is
Oh my
almost
goodness. So how many
10
years have you?
years.
10 years. Wow.
Almost 9. Yeah, nine
And,
years. But
and so you worked on Brave, right? And then you worked on
yes,
Coco
yeah.
and Cars, right?
Cars 2, Incredibles. No, I didn't work on Incredibles. I worked on Inside Out. I worked on the short film in front of Incredibles, which is Bao.
So you worked
If I
on
like it.
Incredible Short. And what else have you worked on? Monsters Inc., right?
Worked on Monsters University.
Oh, sorry, Monster. That's the second one,
What
right?
else? Yes. Second
Okay.
one. Um, what else? I'm sure I'm missing. Oh, The Good Dinosaur. I think that might be it. All the features, I mean. There's some small projects that I've done here and there.
So do me a favor. So a lot of the people that will probably be watching this are tattoo artists.
Yeah,
Of course, I'm really trying with the tattoo convention to start building that bridge between the tattoo world and the art world.
yeah.
Illustrators, digital artists, fine artists, all of that, muralists, um, and I feel like that a lot of the stuff that you would take for granted that and the people you surround yourself with would know, we don't really know because we haven't been in that world. So I guess my question is tell me a little bit about like what it is exactly that you do over there. So are you like a concept artist, or do you take the concept artist's work and then start making it move? Like, what is your job over there?
So I'm a character animator, meaning I'm kind of like the actor of the movie. So I move the characters. They're already set up for me in a scene. And it's just literally like, I don't know if you're familiar with 3D animation, but it's kind of like you're moving a puppet in 3D space. So you're just kind of, there's like, it comes like this, like a T pose, we call
Yep.
it. And you move all the joints, you put all the face, however you want it, expression wise. So I get the dialogue already. So that's pre-recorded for me. And then you just talk to the director, get the general feel of like what the scene is about and where it needs to be. And then you go crazy. There's a room, like an acting room. So I go and make a recording of me acting out the scene. So I learn the dialogue and I do a recording, which hopefully no one ever sees because it's absolutely terrible. But I do maybe, I want to say, between 3 and 10 takes. Because usually the first 3 are kind of rusty and you don't know the words that well. So the acting is pretty forced and not natural. So it takes a few times that you rehearse it so that you loosen up and you act it out. So you kind of like, oh, this feels like there's something to this performance, it feels truthful. Then I take the footage, go back to my computer, watch it, and then just take. Rarely you copy what you do. Some people are very good at that. It's just if they're good actors, and it's like, yeah, I already have all my footage. I can just kind of watch it and copy the movement pretty much verbatim. But for me, I take elements of it just to maybe get the rhythm. So you kind of learn the way you work a scene from beginning to end. First, you do rough pass. Maybe you just do the body and you leave the face unbaked, meaning very kind of rough. You just maybe put a few expressions, but the dialogue is not quite there. As long as you kind of get the main rhythm of the body, you can get director's notes. So you show to the director your blocking pass. They give you some notes. Yeah, this is a good direction. Maybe it feels too emotional or too active for the scene. It really depends on, like, they know the big picture. I'm kind of like working isolated on this like small moments.
So how long does it take you? How long are you working on the show, on the your part of the show? Is it like months or is it a year or?
Usually, if you start at crunch time, which is usually a year before the movie comes out, so you'll be there for a year. Sometimes a little earlier, so it can be like a year and a half.
So you're working on it for a year and a half, or it's a year and a half from when you start until it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
So basically what you're telling me is it takes a year and a half to do 2 minutes.
Less than that. I want to say a year
okay.
would be the average.
Okay. So it takes 1 year to do 2 minutes worth of animation. That is crazy. Yes. Holy crap.
Yeah. And that's, if you're trying to reach that kind of the industry standard, especially in CG, it's very slow process.
Whew. So when you guys watch the movie before it's released, or do you watch it at the theater?
Well, the final movie, we watch it as kind of like our internal premiere that we do, and there's a little party with it. So that's our premiere, but it's not too far from the actual movie release.
Do you guys watch it with your husband or your kid? You have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
Just one daughter, no other kids?
Mm-hmm.
So
just her.
How old is she now?
She's going to be 5 soon.
So do you ever like watch any of these with your daughter and say, you see that 5-second snip right there? That's the one I did.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, oh, watch out. There it is. Okay, it's done.
Done. Yeah. That's so cool, though. And so you've been doing this for 10 years. So I heard something where it said that, most people usually have about 10 years worth of energy in them for a specific, like, career, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether, obviously us as artists, we're going to probably be artists our whole lives, but maybe switch into different roles. Is this something that you think you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, or is it something you're like moving up to, like maybe an art director or something? Or
I've considered what could be like a different route that I'm taking.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm not quite sure, but I'm interested in finding out like even more art related stuff that I can do. That's why I'm pushing my art stuff on the side, just to build a little more of a name in that area. But you're totally right. I think after almost a decade, you need something fresh, like something to shake it up a little bit.
Well, and then also I think, as an artist, we always want to have our own voice of sorts. And, obviously you're working on other people's projects for the most part. You didn't, as far as I know, you didn't write Incredibles, right?
Nope.
You did like, you know what I mean? So you're essentially like being the voice for somebody else's story. And of course, like we want to speak our own, talk our own voice. So
for sure. And also I miss the instant gratification of drawing because, you know how long it takes for one little scene to be done. And sometimes it's like, I have to draw something to know that I got this still, and can be kind of a quick little thing. Yeah. I'm sure tattooing is even slower. Like I can't imagine for like the whole leg. How many hours is that?
Oh, well, I
usually
mean,
for you.
I'm the wrong person to talk about it. A leg will take me 100 hours, but you get like
Yes,
it's crazy.
intense. Yeah, wow.
But if you get
So
like a traditional Japanese guy or, somebody that works with a different type of application, they probably knock one of them things out in about 30 or 40 hours, I would say. I mean, I'm sure some can do it quicker, but in my experience with talking with traditional artists, leg,
yeah,
you think about it, you pull a leg, if you stretch it straight out,
it's
it's the
huge
size of
canvas.
yeah, it's almost bigger
Not
than a
only
back
that,
piece.
you have to deal with like people's pain tolerance and
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
budget.
lot of yeah, exactly. You got the time, you've got the pain tolerance, and you've got the
Yeah,
financial burden, and it'll take me a year and a half to do one of these pieces,
yeah.
and people's lives change substantially in a year and a half. Their financial burdens and stuff like that shift. So yeah, it's nuts. So your husband's a tattoo artist,
Yeah,
right? And I wasn't even aware of that when I contacted you. I was just a fan of your
I
work.
know
And
I know about you and your work through him because he was a huge fan from
nice.
way back when, and I believe we went to one tattoo convention here in the Bay Area, and there was a guy with one of your pieces. It was like all the way from here down to the leg,
Oh
to the
wow.
yeah, to the foot, and I was like, "What is this? Who made this?" And he enlightened me. He's like, "Yeah, this guy, he's incredible."
Oh,
So
that's cool. Awesome. Well, I was never expected to contact you and have you know who I was, so I appreciate that. So your husband's a tattoo artist, and so what style does your husband do?
he he kind of jumps between realistic stuff, kind of new schoolish,
Yeah,
with some traditional Japanese.
yeah.
Because of the Bay Area, there's a lot of, and his shop is in downtown, right next to like Little Italy in Chinatown. So he has a lot of just people that want very traditional stuff,
Yeah,
and also the city has that history. So
for sure.
he does both now.
Yeah, so give your husband a plug. What's his name and what shop does he work at?
Sure. Yeah, his name is Svetlio, and his shop is Dream Masters,
Dream
which is
Masters.
in North Beach. Yeah,
Okay, what's his name again?
Svetlio.
How do you how do you spell that? That's an awesome name.
Yes, Svetlyo.
Okay, Svetlio. Got it.
There you go. Wow, no
Perfect.
accent whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. it was that one weekend that I spent in Romania. I got it.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
from an outside perspective, I mean, you're in a kind of a different art world. What do you think the major differences are between like the people that work in Pixar and the people that you kind of those circles you run in versus a tattoo artist circle?
Usually, the biggest difference will be kind of the audience, because a lot of
Right.
people would go for, they actually want tattoos. Where with animation, if you're in animation and you want to interact with the people, you kind of have to know a little bit about the world beforehand.
Right.
Otherwise, you just go to the movies and experience it. So I think there's that little difference where
Different
you
audience.
interact with the people that actually maybe don't know as much about tattooing. But usually, when I go to like Comic Con or something, a lot of people are already very much into that world and they know more
Yeah.
than I do a lot of times.
Yeah. Tell me about
So it's
that. So this
interesting.
was your second year working Comic Con?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Oof. And how long did it take you to get in? I know that
uh,
some people it's difficult for them to get in.
oh, well, I was part of a group. I lucked
Okay.
out. I met this group of artists that work together each year. They're part of it's called Big Wow,
Oh, big
and
wow. Okay.
it's nice because I get to have a little bit more like elite location, if I can
Yeah.
say it that way. It just looks professional. Even though it was
Right.
like my first time, still it was kind of like in the exhibitor area. It
Yeah.
made me look legit. Like I know what I'm doing. Even though I was like, I've never seen this many people. I've been to Comic Con, but only as a person attending, not as
Yeah.
an exhibitor.
I think I heard that the San Diego Comic Con brings in roughly 300 to 400,000 people throughout the weekend. Does that sound right?
It, I would believe it. It
And that,
felt like that. Definitely
and I don't know for sure, but I
insane.
remember back then when I was talking to my friend, I think that the population of San Diego isn't much more than that. So essentially, you have
Wow.
the size of the city coming into the city for that one weekend, which it's got to be nuts, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Such a pretty city, though.
it is. I don't know how they keep it organized because it felt. I mean, looking from it, I get excited. Just like this is how do you manage all these people and like keep track of stuff? It's pretty intense. Well, there's a bunch of friends they go. I'm very lucky that I was really close to Kim Jong Gi
Oh
and his
yeah,
crew.
I was
Like
gonna
he's
ask you
like
about
right
that.
there. It's it's the best
So
thing to like go watch him. It's just mind blowing. Yeah,
I
he's like
definitely.
one of my favorite people ever.
So yeah, so I was gonna ask you about him, Kim Jong Gi. Is that how you pronounce it? Kim Jong Gi.
I think so.
Okay, because
But
I
I'm
think
probably butchering it and someone's like, no, it's not how you say it.
his name on Instagram is like Kim Young G Us, or there's a US after it. I'm not really sure
Yeah.
what that means, but so with him, and I was noticing some parallels in the way that he draws and the way that you draw. Is
A little
you
bit.
you kind of like just put the pencil down and just start at the top and go all the way down to the bottom, kind of. There's not much sketching that's happening, right?
Yes, for the most part, I do that. But
Yeah,
there's a but. If I'm doing something like a commission that's very specific, I would plan it a little more and
right,
maybe have some rough sketches there. But I usually don't do kind of like the boxy, like the circle for the head, all that stuff.
right.
Because I never understood that. Like my brain doesn't work like that. I've tried really hard, especially in college. It was kind of they were encouraging to think in volumes like that,
Yeah,
but I think more silhouette, and I think Kim is like that too. But I was in Croatia at this event called IFCC this year, and it's a little more for like video game industry.
yeah,
There's a lot of like incredible concept artists that go there, and they meet and they talk about stuff. But they also expand a little more with artists like me that I'm not quite in that industry,
right.
but I draw, so I think it was valuable for people to see like the way I approach stuff, even though it's like not concept art per se.
Yeah.
And there's more artists that came. I don't know if you're familiar with J.W. Cooper. Cooper was
Yes.
there.
Is that Jaw Cooper? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
and
On Instagram, it's Cooper, right? Yeah, I love her work. It's her, right?
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
She's
phenomenal
amazing.
artist.
I feel like
So
she
she
runs
did
parallel to like James Jean in a way.
absolutely, and I
Yeah.
think she's like such a hard worker that it's super inspiring to watch. Like how she produces work is super high quality, but then she's fast too. So she
Right.
did a demo, I did a demo, and again, we all did different. Like she did a gouache painting, I did a kind of an illustration from scratch, just to explain what goes into my mind, how I use my references, because I have a lot of references usually.
Oh, okay. So you're
And
not like pulling this stuff straight out of your head, like
no,
you're looking at something when you're doing that.
I should have mentioned that. Yes, I do have
Okay.
references a lot.
So
And
does Kim Jong does he do that, or is he no reference?
I believe, no, I don't think he uses reference.
That is crazy.
I
That's
think, from what I remember a long time ago, because he came to visit Pixar one time and he did like this super cool, like giant drawing of all the Pixar characters, and I was like, okay, how does he know how to draw like these super obscure characters that you can't just download from space in your
right.
brain? Like you have to see them, right? And I believe that he does a lot of pre-sketching just to learn a few things about these characters, and then
Yeah.
it's kind of like you draw a car a bunch of times, and then you know how to draw a car from cool angles. So I think that's his form of preparation. It's probably a lot of studying that happens beforehand to build that library in his head, and then
Yeah,
he's good to go.
that's
Like
nuts. So
that's
you,
skill.
but I mean, that's what you do. So, I mean, maybe you don't feel like that you do the same thing exactly as him, but when I watched one of your sketching process videos, it
Mhm.
looked to me like you were doing essentially laying out the drawing the same way that he does. Is there any difference in your mind?
I think is the complexity that he gets that I'm not quite there yet.
Right.
I'm probably like I want to be headed that way. Yes, I definitely think we have parallels in terms of how we think, but he also has this insane like photographic memory, which I'm still developing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like mine is the baby version of his like fully grown thing, and yeah, sometimes there's drawings that they don't happen. I'm like, I'm gonna shoot myself. Like this is not coming out the way it's
Oh
in
my
my
goodness.
brain, and that's when I'm like, yeah, I'm not quite hitting those like skill levels. But I mean, I think it's practice. Like if you do the same thing all over and again, it just gets easier, and then it's kind of have your muscle memory. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that you repeat and then you integrate in different drawings. People might
Yeah.
never notice the parallels, but like they're in your brain. Like, oh yeah,
I
I.
definitely like lay things out. So I'll say, here's a
Mhm.
circle, here's a head. I'm going to throw the body down this way. And I just get a basic idea of how everything moves. And then I get on there and I just, I almost start with the big picture and start whittling it down.
I see.
Whereas with you, it's like, and then you just go like this, and there's an eye, nose, and everything just starts lining up. And it's just mind blowing to me how you can do that. That's crazy. I'd love to well, I mean, I hope that when you come to the Richmond Tattoo and Arts Academy that you'll, expand on that a little bit more and talk about how, I don't know, have you been able to kind of turn it into this thing where you can kind of help communicate how you do it and get other people to learn how to do it
Mhm.
or
I will do my best to try and explain. I think I have to probably consciously like break it down. And I've done some demos live, and
yeah,
it helps when I'm drawing and speaking because that's like the decision making. I can verbalize it quickly.
right,
So I'll try to do something similar, like maybe present a little bit of how I normally think about art, but also demo. I think a lot of times people learn more just by literally seeing it
yeah,
happen. I want
yeah,
to definitely do like a YouTube type of, either time lapse or actually sit down and talk about it because
yeah.
it's fun.
Do you ever? So I noticed that you do a lot of more traditional medium. You're drawing with pencil,
Yeah,
and then you're kind of scrubbing in some colors and stuff like that. Do you ever mess with the iPad Pro at all?
I I do. I want to do more. The main reason I do traditional is because I'm in front of a computer
Computer
for
all the
like
time. Yeah,
all day, and I go home and like I can't
yeah,
stare at a computer. Like, I have this like weird migraines that started happening, which
yeah,
I think it's part of my eyes, and that's why I started doing my drawings. And if you see, like I don't even have that many like colored stuff or oils or anything that's like
yeah,
not dry media because for a long time, especially when my daughter was a little younger, there's just no time. So anything that fits on my lap was all I had.
quick.
And
Yeah,
it's cool because if you have that limitation, you're like, okay, well, this is all I have, so let me try and be creative with this. So it turned out to be kind of a, blessing in disguise where I started doing some experimentation with with my technique, and now I think people kind of recognize my stuff for just the tools that I'm using, which
right,
wasn't like a stylistic choice. Like I didn't sit down like, oh, how
right.
would I be different? It's more like this is all I have, and let me just have fun with it. And see if I can push this more than I usually do.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you already know this, but I just felt like when you were talking about doing a time lapse, it's like you get on, Procreate, right?
Yeah,
So they got that recording thing that's awesome, and you could just sit there and sketch. But the only thing
yeah.
is when you're recording it, you can't see the pencil. You know what I mean? I guess you
Mm.
could set up maybe another camera that kind of records at the same time, but it's so simple now to get a little time lapse of your artwork. It seems.
I know, that's brilliant. That was such a smart thing that they
Yeah,
did. It's
yeah.
very it's cool to see. Like I think I've seen a few time lapses that James Jean did,
Oh yeah,
and it's still like I don't know how you start with nothing and then you end up with the result that you have. Like there's something in between that happens that's just beyond. Like it's so beautiful. So
um,
even that, I'm like, I see it, it's happening, but I don't know how it just happened. Like you blink and then you miss something.
yeah.
So it's good to. I would love to hear actually, maybe him talk or as soon as you add a little like the element of talking and answering questions, it definitely kind of sheds a little more light on things. Still
Right.
not enough, but a
Yeah.
little clearer.
Well, you can only pass over so much information. I mean,
True.
a lot of, what do they say? The people who are the best teachers are typically the ones that aren't the best artists, and vice versa. It's
Oh,
like, yeah, it's rare to find somebody who can actually
yeah,
articulate what it is they do. And I've experienced that where I've, taken classes with artists who I thought were amazing, and then when they go to teach me, I'm just like, what, help me, man. And they're like, oh, well, I just go like this. And it's like, well, that's good. That shows me that you
yeah,
got good intuition. But what are you thinking when you're doing that?
yeah. Where
Like
do you teach?
I teach at tattoo conventions.
Oh, okay.
And have you ever heard of the Illustration Academy?
No.
It's, have you heard of like George Pratt or,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So George Pratt was a teacher of mine over at the Illustration Academy, and then Mark English and John English, Sterling Hunley. Um, I don't know, bunch of teachers that are pretty well known in the Illustration Academy. But I taught a class for them, and that kind of like slingshotted me into starting to teach a little bit more for the tattoo world.
Yeah,
Um, so it's not something I do. I do it probably like once every 2 or 3 months, and I enjoy
that's
it.
super cool.
It's like you're giving a gift to the people who are taking the class. At least that's the way that they seem very appreciative, as if you're giving them a gift. And I never really thought about it like that before.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah,
it. Everybody should teach.
I think there's something they said out there about how the best way to learn is to teach, and I think that
I
definitely
believe
holds
it.
true. Yeah.
I absolutely believe it.
So let me ask you this: so do you know who else you're presenting with at the convention?
I know Gary. I know Gary online.
Do you? No, I
Never
love
met him.
Gary's work. I've never met
He's
him in person
awesome.
either. I just loved his work, and I was like, dude, I got to get this guy in here.
Yeah, yeah. I love his like the worlds he's creating. It's super, super fun. Who else is presenting? Because I think the other people are like veterans in
So yeah,
tattooing, right?
we've
I'm
got
kind of wrong.
four tattoo artists, and we got 2 illustrators. And
Okay.
you're one of the illustrators that we brought on. And so we've got this guy named Dave Koenig, and he's got more of kind of like an Art Nouveau, traditional, new school type
I'll
style.
research. I'll research
Yeah,
everybody. So
it's
I'm
really cool.
like not green.
Well, we put this thing together relatively quickly.
Mhm.
I've been wanting to have this something like this, a school type thing after my tattoo convention. Even before I had a tattoo convention, I was like, man, it
Mhm.
would be really cool if we had a tattoo convention, and then because they normally what they do is they have the seminars during the convention, but then all the artists that are at the convention, they can't take it because they're tattooing. So what I wanted to do is have it the Monday afterwards, and that way everybody can take it if they want to.
That's awesome. That's
So I was
great.
attempting to bring in these other schools that are already doing it to get them to do it afterwards, but for one reason or another, it just kind of fell through. So I was like, all
Mhm.
right, I'm just going to do it myself. So, and that's kind of where we are now. And I was like, let me get 6 people, 40 minutes apiece, and see what we can do.
That's great. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Awesome, Eliza. It's so fun talking to you.
Likewise.
I appreciate everything, and I guess yeah, we should probably put some sort of wrap up on this. Thank you so much for letting me interview you, and I am super excited to have you at the Richmond Tattoo and Arts Academy on October 1st in Richmond, Virginia.
All right. I can't wait. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, we'll talk later.
Yeah. Cool. Have a
All
great
right.
one.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Hi, my name is Eliza Ivanova, and I'll be at Richmond's Tattoo and Art Academy this year, so please come and join me in Richmond, Virginia. Hi, my name is Eliza Ivanova, and I'll be at Richmond's Tattoo and Art Academy this year. So please come and join me in Richmond, Virginia.